Ever wonder what happened between the original Lion King and the Lion King 2? You remember that adorable cub held up at the end of the first movie, right? Everyone assumed that was Kiara. But what if I told you that cub was actually a male? Simba's firstborn son, named Kopa. That's right. The Lion King universe has a lost prince, and his story is a roller coaster of joy, tragedy, and mystery that Disney never put on the big screen. So, let's dive into the story of Kopa, the forgotten heir of the Pride Lands. Kopa's tale comes from a series of books called The Lion King. 6 new adventures, which were released back in 1994, right after the first movie. These books expand the world we love, introducing us to Simba and Nala's adventurous, curious, and slightly cheeky son. Unlike his future sister Kiara, Kopa was a ball of energy from day one. He inherited his father's adventurous spirit and his mother's cleverness. He loved exploring every corner of the Pride Lands, often getting himself into little scrapes. His best friend was a hyena cub named Asante, which, as you can imagine, caused a bit of a stir. But Kopa, with his big heart, saw beyond old rivalries. He believed in friendship, no matter what someone looked like. His favorite pastime was listening to stories. He'd beg Rafiki, Zazu, and even his own dad to tell him tales of the past. He was particularly fascinated by the story of his evil great uncle Scar. He wanted to understand everything about his family's history, the good and the bad. This thirst for knowledge made him a very wise young prince. Simba saw a future king in him, one who was both brave and compassionate. He spent hours teaching Kopa about the circle of life, the responsibilities of a king, and how to rule with a fair paw. The future of the Pride Lands looked incredibly bright, with Kopa poised to take the throne. But then, tragedy struck. The story of what happened to Kopa is where things get dark and why he is completely absent from the second movie. The villain of this chapter is none other than Zira, Scar's most loyal and fanatical follower. Zira was consumed by hatred for Simba, blaming him for Scar's death. She saw Kopa not as the future king, but as a symbol of her pain and a target for her revenge. One day, while Kopa was out playing near the gorge, Zira found him alone. The details are heartbreaking, but it's said that a brutal confrontation took place. Zira, driven by vengeance, attacked the young prince. Back at Pride Rock, the news was devastating. Kopa was declared dead, lost to the claws of a bitter enemy. Simba was overwhelmed with grief and rage. He had lost his son, his heir. In his fury, he banished Ziran and all of Scar's followers to the desolate outlands, forbidding them from ever returning. This act of banishment is the very event that sets the stage for The Lion King 2. Simba. Simba's overprotective nature towards Kiara in the second film suddenly makes so much more sense, doesn't it? He wasn't just being a worried dad. He was a grieving father terrified of history repeating itself. But here's where the story takes a turn. A twist that has kept fans debating for years. Is Kopa really dead? Many fans believe he wasn't. The theory goes that Kopa was severely injured but managed to escape. He ran away from the Pride Lands, either out of fear or because he had amnesia from the attack. He grew up in exile, far away from his home, possibly in a distant jungle, much like his father once did. Imagine this, a grown Kopa, now a strong and powerful lion, slowly regaining his memories. He remembers his family, his home, and the terrible days Zira attacked him. He decides it's time to return. This theory opens up a whole new world of possibilities. What would happen if Kopa returned to the Pride Lands after Kiara and Kovu had united the Prides? How would he react to seeing his sister on the throne? Would there be a conflict for the crown? Or would he accept his new place in the circle of life? This Kopa's return storyline is a huge deal in the fan community. People have written countless stories, drawn amazing art, and made their own videos exploring this very idea. It's a testament to how much this forgotten prince has captured our imaginations. It's the story of a lost king reclaiming his destiny, and it's a powerful what-if scenario. So, why did Disney seemingly erase him? The most likely reason is simple storytelling. When they created The Lion King 2, they wanted a story centered around a Romeo and Juliet theme, a female protagonist, Kiara, falling for the son of her family's enemy. Kovu fit that narrative perfectly. Having an older brother in the picture would have complicated the line of succession and the central romance. It was easier to start with a clean slate, making Kiara the sole heir. The cub at the end of the first movie was retroactively named Fluffy by the filmmakers, and then eventually became Kiara for the sequel. The book series, with its Prince Kopa, was essentially relegated to a separate, non-canon timeline. But for so many of us, Kopa is canon. He's the original heir, the bridge that connects the joy of the first film ending to the sorrow that kicks off the second. His story adds a layer of depth and tragedy to Simba's character, explaining his paranoia and fear in a way the movie only hints at. It paints a fuller, more complex picture of life in the Pride Lands, showing that even after Scar's defeat, peace was fragile and came at a great cost. Kopa represents the stories that exist in the margins, the tailies that get left behind when a new chapter is written. But just because his story wasn't on the big screen doesn't make it any less compelling. He is the lost prince, the ghost haunting Pride Rock, and a symbol of resilience for those who believe he survived. Whether he's a tragic memory or a king in exile waiting to return, Kopa's legacy lives on in the hearts of Lion King fans everywhere. What do you think? Do you believe Kopa survived? Or was his story just a stepping stone for the movies we know and scene at the end of The Lion King? Right, Rafiki, high atop Pride Rock, holding up a brand new cub for the entire kingdom to see. Simba and Nala. Looking on with pride, it's the perfect circle of life moment. We all assumed that Cub was Kiara, the star of the sequel, The Lion King 2. Simba's pride. But what if I told you there's more to the story? Let's rewind to 1994. The Lion King was a massive hit, and a book series called The Lion King, 6 New Adventures, was released to expand the world. In the very first book, titled A Tale of Two Brothers, we get a fascinating epilogue. After the main story, which delves into the past of Mufasa and Scar, there's a final scene. Simba and Nala are presenting their newborn son to the kingdom. Yes, you heard that right. Their son. His name is Kopa. This book describes the ceremony almost exactly as we see it at the end of the first movie. The animals gather, Rafiki anoints the cub, and he's held up for all to see. The book explicitly states, Simba's son was born, and all the animals of the Pride Lands celebrated the birth of Kopa. So, for early fans, Kopa was the official heir to the throne. He was a curious, playful cub, very much like his father was. He was the future king. So, where did he go? When Simba's Pride was released a few years later, Kopa was nowhere to be found. Instead, the royal cub was Kiara. This created a huge debate among fans that continues to this day. Was Kopa replaced? Was he just forgotten? The filmmakers behind Simba's Pride have mentioned that they were uneven aware of Kopa's existence when they were developing the movie. They wanted to create a new, interesting story, and giving Simba a daughter who wasn't keen on being queen offered a fresh dynamic. So, Kiara was born, and Kopa faded into the background, at least officially. This has led to a fascinating split in the Lion King universe. You have the official movie canon, where Kiara, Simba, and Nala's first and only child presented at the ceremony. And then you have the book canon, or what fans sometimes call the Kopaverse, where Kopa was the firstborn. Fans have come up with countless theories to try and reconcile these two storylines. It's a testament to how much these characters mean to people. We want this story to make sense, to feel complete. One of the most popular and tragic fan theories is that Kopa was attacked by Zira, Scar's vengeful mate. In this version of events, Zira, furious over Scar's death, attacks the young prince as revenge against Simba. Some theories say Kopa was killed in the attack, which would explain Simba's extreme overprotectiveness of Kiara in the second movie. It wasn't just fatherly concern. It was born from a deep, past trauma of losing his first child. This would add a much darker, more profound layer to Simba's character in the sequel. Other, more hopeful theories suggest that Kopa wasn't killed but was severely injured and ran away, or was presumed dead. In these stories, he grows up in exile, much like his father did, and could one day return to the Pride Lands. These fanfics and fan art often depict an adult Kopa, a wise and strong lion, sometimes meeting his younger sister Kiara for the first time. It's a powerful what-if scenario that lets fans imagine a grand family reunion and the healing of old wounds. It's also interesting to look at the character designs. The cub at the end of the first film is often called Fluffy by the animators. They didn't have a name or gender in mind at the time. It was just a symbol of the circle of life continuing. When you look closely at Kopa's design in the books, he has a small brown tuft of hair on his head. Kiara, in her movie, doesn't. However, the cub in the final scene of the first movie does have a little tuft, which has led many Kopa believers to firmly state that the cub we see is, without a doubt, Kopa. Then, years later, we got The Lion Guard, a TV series that introduced Simba, Nala's second child, and Kiara's younger brother. This complicated things even further. Kion is the leader of the Lion Guard, a group that protects the Pride Lands. The show is aimed at a younger audience and fits itself in between the moments of Simba's pride. It firmly establishes Kiara as the future queen and never once mentions Kopa. So now, in the current official Disney canon, Simba and Nala have two children, Kiara, the heir to the throne, and Kion, the defender of the Pride Lands. So, what does this all mean? Essentially, Kopa exists in a sort of legends category, similar to how Star Wars has its main canon and its expanded universe legends. For the official Disney animated storyline that includes the films and the Lion Guard, Kopa doesn't exist. Simba's firstborn is Kiara. But for the fans who grew up with the 6 New Adventures books, Kopa will always be the Lost Prince, the original heir. It's a fantastic example of how a universe can grow and change over time, with different creators adding their own pieces to the puzzle. The story of Kopa, whether he's seen as a tragic victim, a forgotten character, or a lost hero waiting to return, adds an incredible layer of depth and mystery to the world of the Lion King. It shows that even after the happily ever after, there are always more stories to tell, more questions to ask, and more adventures to be had on the savannah. What do you guys think? Do you believe in Kopa? Do you prefer the theory where he was tragically lost? Or do you hope he's out there somewhere, waiting to retex? Yes, she's overjoyed to have found her friend, her potential partner. But look closely at her expressions throughout the scene. There's not just love in her eyes, there's also hope and a sense of urgency. She sees this strong, capable lion he's become. She sees the rightful king. For her, this love isn't just about personal feelings. It represents the salvation of her home. Can he feel the love tonight? For Nala, the question is also, can he feel the responsibility that comes with it? The animation in this sequence is absolutely breathtaking. The artists used the environment to mirror the characters' emotions. The lush, vibrant jungle, with its waterfalls and glowing flora, is a paradise. It symbolizes the ideal world, the enchanted place that love can create. The way the light hits them, the soft focus, the flowing water, it all works together to create a dreamlike, almost sacred atmosphere. This isn't just any jungle. It's the Garden of Eden for these two lions, a temporary escape from the harsh realities they both face. Pay attention to their body language, the nuzzling, the gentle way they look at each other. It's incredibly intimate and tells a story of deep affection. It's not just a crush, it's a profound bond being rediscovered and transformed into something more mature. This physical closeness is a stark contrast to the emotional distance Simba has maintained from his past. Nala is literally breaking down his walls through affection, but the scene isn't just a happy-go-lucky romance. The conflict is brewing right beneath the surface. After their romantic journey through the jungle, they rest by the water. And this is when reality crashes back in. Nala asks him why he didn't come back home. She tells him he's the king. Simba's reaction is immediate and defensive. He turns away, his posture changes, and the paradise they just shared vanishes. The argument that follows is crucial. It shows that love isn't a magic fix. It doesn't instantly solve all problems. Simba is still trapped by his guilt and fear. "You can't go back," he says. But he's really talking to himself. Nala challenges him, calling him out for abandoning his kingdom. "What's happened to you? You're not the Simba I remember." That line is like a dagger. It forces Simba to confront the difference between who he is and who he's supposed to be. This tension is what makes the "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" sequence so brilliant. It presents the peak of their romantic connection and immediately follows it with the deep chasm of their conflict. The love they feel gives Nala the strength to challenge Simba, and it's this challenge, this tough love, that ultimately sets him on the path to facing his past. Without the trust and connection they re-established during the song, their argument might have just ended their reunion. But because the love is real, it becomes a catalyst for change. Think about it from a storytelling perspective. This scene is the turning point for Simba's entire character arc. Before Nala, he was content to live without a past or a future. Nala's arrival and the love he feels for her forces him to look in the mirror. It's no coincidence that soon after this, Rafiki appears to show him his father's reflection in the water. Nala reopened the door to his past, and Rafiki just gave him the final push through it. So, Can You Feel the Love Tonight is much more than just Disney's obligatory love song. It's a masterful piece of filmmaking that weaves together character development, plot progression, and breathtaking artistry. It explores the joy of reunion, the comfort of love, and the uncomfortable reality that love also brings responsibility. It's the calm before the storm, the beautiful dream that gives our hero the strength to finally wake up and face his nightmares. It tests the moment Simba stops being a runaway and starts the journey back to being a king. What do you think? Is this the most romantic scene in Disney history? Or is there another one that you think is even better? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this little deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next video.